This video is going to be showing my attempt to eliminate the blue-green algae that is covering my tank. As you can see, it's pretty much everywhere. Largely the fact that I haven't been very good about doing water changes, and I'm probably overfeeding the fish. But I wanted to show you what it looks like now. What I'm going to do is remove all of the plants and the castle and the pillars and clean them up outside the tank. And then, based on some YouTube research I did, I use hydrogen peroxide to try to get rid of the green algae that's in the bottom of the glass on the front and on the gravel and in the back. Here you can see I've taken all the decorations out of the tank, and it looks pretty bad. I'm going to scrape the back with a a credit card, because that works good as an edging device for scraping off the algae in the back. And then I'm probably going to do a water change to try to get some of the junk off the bottom before I try the hydrogen peroxide to kill out the algae. So we're making progress. Here we have the items I took out of the aquarium. I rinsed them off under hot water on the utility sink over here, and all of the green algae came off very easily with just really one exception. You can see, I'll get to the exception in a minute. You can see they look pretty clean. The castle and the pillars look pretty clean, and the plastic plants also came off. The algae came off very easily. The exception was this plastic plant here, and I think it's because the plastic has a texture to it, and the algae had an easier time actually clinging to that. So I got most of the algae off. I wouldn't say I got all of it, but certainly all the medium large size pieces. So now I'm going to try spraying them with the hydrogen peroxide solution to kill the algae that's remaining, because this algae is, as I understand from YouTube, is actually a bacteria. So can't see bacteria, so I'm going to have to kill it, even though they look clean, before I put it back in the tank. All right, well, I used the edge of the credit card to clean the glass on all four sides, and I did a water change and siphoned up most of the stuff that was on the bottom of the tank, and it actually looks pretty good. I haven't done anything with hydrogen peroxide, other than spray the decorations to see if that would keep the algae off them on a permanent basis, or at least semi-permanent basis. So next step is to spray the hydrogen peroxide on the gravel, see if that will help alleviate and inhibit any return of the algae on the bottom of the tank. And we'll see where I take it from there. Well, as you can see, the tank looks pretty clean at this point. I haven't used the hydrogen peroxide on the gravel because after doing another 10% water change after the 50% water change I started with, I think I was able to get most of the stuff off the bottom of the tank and off the gravel, and put the 2 decorations back in. So I did a little more research, and it turns out that the blue-green algae really is promoted when you have too much light or too much overfeeding. I don't think I did too much light, but I probably did too much overfeeding. And does particularly well when there's not enough water flow or stagnant areas in the tank. So I decided to add, as you can see over here, I decided to add a second air stone to try to increase the water flow in that area, because most of the algae kind of started on the left side of the tank and then gradually went over to the right side of the tank. So we'll see if that helps. I also thought I would try to lower the temperature of the tank. It was generally running pretty consistently around 80 degrees. I think that may have been due to the water heater being on. It's supposed to be set at like 78, but I think it runs a little hot. And so I took the lights off the tank, and I took the glass covers off the tank to see if I could get some cooling through just the evaporation off the top of the tank. Seems to help. Dropped about 2 degrees. I think it's running about 78 now. That was over just a period of, since this morning actually, this being late morning. So we'll see if we can get it down into the mid-70s. I think the fish will be okay with that temperature. It's supposed to help inhibit the algae. So we'll see how that does, and I'll keep you posted. I realized I didn't pan across the whole tank in the discussion I just had, so I thought I would try again. There's a fair amount of glare because I'm shooting this in the morning rather than in the evening, so you get a fair amount of glare off the glass. But you can see the tank looks pretty good. Well, as you can see, I've added an under gravel filter. I decided to do this in insurance in case the air stone on the left side of the tank doesn't provide enough water flow to keep the blue-green algae at bay. So if the air stone is not enough, then I'll put a reverse flow pump on the gravel filter so that there's water flowing up the gravel back into the tank, and that should provide enough water flow to hopefully stop the blue-green algae, which apparently, from the research I've done, do best in stagnant water and low oxygen water, for that matter, because they're anaerobic bacteria. And the reverse air flow or the reverse water flow on the undergravel filter should provide more than enough, I think, flow to inhibit the blue-green algae. But we'll see. It's an insurance. I'm going to try with the air stone just that initially, and we'll see what happens. And if that doesn't work, then I'll add the undergravel filter. Well, here we are. This is the finished look. Got everything back in. Put the gravel back in. And it looks pretty good. The only thing I didn't do is I never used the hydrogen peroxide on the gravel. Didn't think it really needed it, but we'll see. So all I got to do now is work on the lighting. Get the lighting. Got to get a replacement bulb for the fixture. And those that are observant of you will notice that there's something new in the back here. I put in a hang-on-the-back filter that's clear, the very old Whisper Power Filter 40. The canister is clear, or fairly clear, maybe a light brown color, compared to the newer ones that are all black. So that's going to be my next project. We'll be putting together an algae scrubber in the event that the things I've done so far aren't able to keep the blue-green algae out of the tank. So we'll see. Hope you enjoyed it and found it informative. Please excuse the glare on the glass from the outside windows. Here is the final look. I've turned the lights on. I added some fish. I added some live plants to hopefully reduce the negative nitrates and phosphates in the water, and ended up changing my light fixture. The original high output light, one of the bulbs burned out, and it's so old that it's difficult to replace it. So I switched back to fluorescent bulbs, and you can see this is what it looks like. This is now day 7 since I started, and about day maybe day 4 since I put the new water in the tank. So we'll see how long it goes before I have any algae, blue-green algae coming back. Hopefully it won't come back at all. And we'll see how it goes. If it does come back, I'll try some other things and do an update, let you know what works and what doesn't.